Alright guys, I got Jupiter's board here, his template, and I also got Z8's template here as well. And I just wanted to show you a quick video on how the size difference makes a difference when you install these. And you can see it's not that much bigger, but just a hair bigger. But that's all it takes to make this mountable. So when I line them up on top of each other, you can see this is really only about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch bigger. See that? Yeah, it's about a 1/2 inch bigger, which is not much. Could have made it even a little bigger than that, but that's plenty. And I'll show you what I mean here. So if I take this over here onto the dash, you can see that those mounts clear the dash. And this is my dash from Knight Rider shop. So ZA electronics will fit in it just fine. Alright, here's the RPM board from ZA compared to Jupiter. And you can see it's a good, what, like 1 inch? Yep, about 1 inch taller. And that's exactly what it needs to be able to mount these. Same with this board, 1 inch taller. And that's going to give you the clearance you need to be able to mount this into your L bracket on both sides. See what I had to do to this one to get it to mount? I got to add the little shims to it, because there's no way it would. The only way you could mount this is if you put screws in the middle of it, which you would see them in the template, which you can do that if you don't mind, but I didn't want the screws to be showing up on my on the layup of the dash. Now if you don't mind screws, you can use the screws if you want to, but even if you screw into this, you're still not going to be able to get it into the L bracket. You're still going to have to modify an L bracket that goes down into this lower part of the board. And this is just easier, and that's why I'm doing it like that. And again, good job ZA for making them a little bit bigger. You know, you can see it almost lines up the same. It's a little bit different. These are a little bit higher. See that? So they don't work. You can't just buy these and use them with Jupiter. They won't fit. Same with this one. See if I try to line it up, it just these are changed a little bit, so it won't work. That's it for now. I just wanted to make this quick video on the ZA templates and how the electronics will fit a lot better than the Jupiter set. Not to say these are not anything wrong with these. They're a good basic functioning set for people that don't want a lot of all those fancy things that the ZA has or some of the other boards have. This is a real nice setup if you just want, you know, the basic things, your RPM and miles per hour, your fuel and temps gauges to be working. There's nothing really fancy to this set. It just plug and play, it turns it on, and it works it brings functionality to your dash. But yeah, ZA is a whole different realm of the way that works, but this is fine if you want basic setup. You know, you just want to drive it and have the look of the Knight Rider, but without all the extra added features. Alright, next day I'm going to set our little cover in here and mark where we want to drill the holes out for our L brackets. There's 3 of them there, so I marked 3 holes, and I will be pre-drilling these holes and then putting some screws into there. Alright, I just drilled out 3 holes. I already put the screws in 2 of them. The screws are real small. I think they're like 5/16 of an inch. That's all you really need. Put it right in through the hole, and then get your little nut. Fasten it on from this other side, and you're done. That's how you install the little plastic covers. And then the boards will mount right to that plastic, to the Lexan or Plexi, whatever you're using. And we'll just drill through these holes right here, through the middle, and And then again we'll put a screw through here, a little bit longer screw. But I need to make sure that they're lined up in the middle before I drill the holes. Alright, now I just drilled the holes out and I put the 3/4 inch screws through there. See that? It's about 3/4 inches long with the nut, and it goes through the wood, goes through the little Lexan cover, and that's what mounts the boards on. Gotta do this one next. I gotta trim this little leg down just a little bit. It's a little bit too long here, so I'm gonna trim that right now, and I'm gonna mount this on there. Alright, got all the bolts in and all the legs, and now I fit it in there. Everything's fitting good. Now we want to take this back out, and we want to take everything apart and clean everything off and take the little paper off. I think I'll leave the top one on because I gotta ship this still, but I'll just take the bottom one out. Alright, when you take your electronics off, because you drilled through these little pieces, you want to clean all that off. Clean the boards one more time, and we're going to peel this protective layer off. Okay, and it still has a protective layer on the front side, as you can see here. That's wrinkled up a little bit. I'm going to get this wiped down real quick. And then we're going to install the boards back on. So install this right in there like that. Put your screws in. And we're going to set these aside and not install them until the very end, until everything is done, because I don't want them to keep getting dirty. So that's what we're going to do, is install it back on and wait, and do the other side and wait to install this at the very end of the project. So now we're going to work on the other side of the board, which is this side right here, mounting that. One more thing, when you butt these two boards up, sometimes they won't be perfectly connected. So what you do is you get some electrical tape, just a small piece, and run it right in that crack. That way you don't have any bleed through. That way you don't see through that little crack if you have one. And that'll fix the situation when you could see through the boards in that crack area. Alright, first thing we need to do for this side is cut out a template and make it a little bit bigger for mounting purposes. And what I used was just a little garbage bag from Sprouts, a little paper bag, not garbage bag, a grocery bag. Cut it out, made it a little bit bigger so I can mount up top. See where the line is. And that's going to be my template for our plastic cover, or Lexan or Plexi, whatever you're using. Alright. We're going to trace that, and I'm using some Duraplex, and I'm just going to trace this template and cut it out with air saw. Alright, now that I got my covers cut out with my template, now we're going to do the same thing that we did over here, add some mounting brackets there. Add one there at the end, one here, and then two up top. I'm going to get it real close to the edge, almost where it's touching, but you got to leave a little gap for this to fit in there. I'll probably put one up over here at the very end here, and then two up top. Alright, these are nice and dry, the brackets. Slide this thing back in here, tighten two bolts in there, and it should be good. Don't see any gaps. Now we can take our board. I just mounted it to here, and we can fasten this down so you gotta fiddle with it and make sure it's all lined up on the other side before you drill and screw. Alright, as you can see, I got it all mounted. I got one bolt here, one bolt there, one bolt there, there. This one I didn't put in yet, might not need it. And then I have 2 bolts only holding this cover on. And we'll see what it looks like from the other side. We'll flip it over. You can see it's nice and flush. Looks pretty good. So that one's done. This side's done, but I took it out. And now all I have to do is these 2 pieces down here for the electronics. And that's it for the electronics. And then, you know, the voice box. But these 2 main ones, and I'm not gonna lie, this is a pain in the butt, guys. It is hard work to do this. It takes some, you know, some know-how and some. It can get frustrating here and there. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, if you take your time, once you get it done, and you know you got it all nice and straight with the lines of the dash, it looks good. It'll be worth it. Let's put this dash down. Take a look at it one more time. Now I'm gonna pull this out, this board out, because I don't want to get it dirty. Because you can see I haven't even touched the dash yet. It's still out of the mold. I haven't even sanded down the mold line yet. But I just wanted to get these out of the way and get them mounted the way where they should be. So later on, when I'm done, all I have to do is pop them in. And as you can see, if you get up here, you can see that there is an angle. It's slightly angled towards the driver. I think in the show it might have been straight, but I wanted it to be towards the driver and not just straight and kind of pointing towards the door. I think it looks better like that. And it's just slight. Let's see, I'm gonna try to get an angle of it. See, this angle, you can see it's just slightly at a slant compared to the dash going this way. But I think that's gonna look really nice when you're sitting in the dash and you have it all kind of pointed towards you in a panoramic type of situation here. So that's it for now, guys. It's getting late again. It took me literally, I started working on it around 2. It's probably around 7:30 right now. So I put in I don't know, a good 4, 5, 6 hours on it. And so these 2 parts are done. Next, voice box. And let me tell you, this can be a pain in the butt. It's not as easy as you think for the type of voice box from Jupitere. The newer ones that come with the bezel that sits in there, those are a piece of cake. Jupitere's voice box that doesn't have the bezel, real pain in the butt. But we'll see how we're gonna install it. It's most likely gonna have to just be epoxied on, and then the cutouts for the voice box will be done, and then the actual templates will have to be epoxied onto here, because I don't see any other way to mount it unless you put screws in it, and I don't think that's gonna look very good. Alright, for the voice box, I made a little template of the voice box. This one right here. It's a Jupitere voice box. And I punched some holes for where the leads go to make sure that's where they're at. And it's pretty close. Went and drilled some holes where these go. And I just used a step drill bit to step up a little bit bigger. There we go, they're all about the same size now. Just fit this thing in the back. Alright. Most of the leads can be seen through the holes now. You don't have to do it like this. You can just cut a big hole right up in here. I might still do that because this is actually keeping it from sitting flat. So I might have to do that anyway, but this gives you an idea of where it's going to go. Now I'm going to cut out the middle spot. I'm going to use air saw to cut out the middle area right there. Alright, we got it cut out in the middle, all the way down. And I ended up just making a big notch on both sides for this particular bezel from Jupitere. Now we put it in, and you can see it fits in there just fine now. Now normally if you have the bezel type voice box, the one with the bezel that's real deep, you would do it a different way, but this is for Jupitere's electronics. And you could take the time to try to notch out these areas into 3 notches, and the same with the leads, but it's just more work than really that you need to do. Just do it like that, and see if I can get this to stay. Probably not. So I need 2 more hands. Get the little template. Try to get this on camera. So this is going to mount here like that, and the little template that Jupitere gives you goes right in here like that. Might have to trim the bezel, it's a little bit too long, so it just sits on top like that. And the other one, same thing, they just sit there on top. Literally there's no way to mount these. Only way I could see to mount these is by using epoxy, 2-part epoxy, and just sticking this to the dash itself, which is kind of a pain because every time you gotta paint this dash, you really can't take these off. They're stuck there. So I'm probably gonna have to leave this off and ship it separately for the customer so he can epoxy them on himself with some 2-part epoxy. I'm probably gonna have to trim it a little bit so it can fit a little better up top. It's hitting the walls there. But yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna work on showing you guys how to mount this voice box to the actual dash, which can be challenging for some. Some people use filler, body filler. Some people use hot glue, which is just gonna unglue itself in the heat. And some people use L brackets. Some people use all kinds of different ways. Some people use wood screws and wood blocks. But I'll show you the way I'm gonna do it in the next video. Alright, so I just have the voice box sitting on there, and that's pretty much how it goes. The fitment of this on here is perfect, nice and lined up. This will fit just fine. And this one too fits perfect. Just gotta trim it. I just gotta flatten that out when I start sanding the dash. So that's fitting just fine. The middle piece is the only one that needs a little bit of adjusting right here on the corner, on both corners there, to get it to fit a little more snug. And again, these are going to have to be epoxy to the dash. You got room to epoxy here a good 1/2 inch right there, and down at the bottoms, and right here at the bottom, at the top, the corners. So there's plenty of places to glue this onto the dash, but I'm not going to do that for the customer because he's got to paint it, and I don't want it to be glued there and then get paint all over this. So I'll just ship this separately in a little baggie, and I will install the voice box in the dash though for him. Alright, first thing you want to do is you want to pull this board off of the Jupitere voice box piece. It just pulls right out. It's got little needles, so be careful, they're pretty sharp too. So you can see where I marked, there's a little in the corners, there's a little section where you can mount. Just be careful, there's poles running through there. There's you can see the diagram, you can see where the lines are. hot and ground, so be careful. You don't want to go into that, so you want to stay off to the right, away from these. Same with right here. This one's real small on this side where it says Jupitere, and the bottom's even smaller. So you can see where I kind of marked it, where I know I'll be safe. And when you put this in the dash, if you did the cutouts like I did, you left a little space here above this, that's what you want, a little bit of space to mount, a little space at the bottom too. So when you put this in there, you can see I actually cut it a little too high. I could have done it a little bit lower on the top ones. The bottom ones are nice and snug there. So yeah, we know where the voice box, the top of the voice box is lined up with this line here. So what I'm going to do is try to get this screw to be right in here where you don't see it. Right around there and right around here. And if I can at the bottom, do the same thing. That way the template will cover up the screw head. You're going to countersink those screw heads anyway. Alright, so I'm going to drill some holes and wish me luck. Alright, so I drilled my hole all the way through the board and all the way through the front of the dash itself. I'm going to do that with every single one of these. You have to be really precise where you drill, or else it's going to come out kind of funky. Alright, you can see my holes right on the edge there. Could have went a little lower, but that's okay. Now we just run our screw through that. Run the screw through that and put a knot on the back side. And be careful on the back side. You might want to run a small screw from this side. Or actually, you can't. You got to do it from the other side. But when you put the nut on, just make sure, you might want to put like a piece of plastic washer first. That way the nut head does not touch the board, because it's real close to that pole. So they make little nylon washers that you'd want to use on this side. Make sure you countersink these holes. That way when you put your covers on, it'll hide it. It'll go right over those little screw heads. And don't worry if you chip the dash putting the screws in. You could just put some little bit of filler over those little chips. I did chip the gel coat on this one a little bit. Anyways, I'm going to probably put some filler over that screw head anyway. That way you don't see it. And then that will hide it. Alright, I got this one, next one, really good. That's right where you want it, right in the middle. And I countersink the head, so now it's nice and flat. It's a 3/4 inch screw there, real small skinny one. And then we'll put 2 more at the bottom, and that will hold this thing in place. It'll never fall out or anything like that. And all you do is put the other clips, you put the other boards in with the clips, and they'll hold in there. That's how I'm doing it. And if you guys want to copy it and try it, go for it. It's a good way to do it. So try it out. Alright, the last 2 are done. And I countersink them a little bit. So now it's ready to mount with 4 screws. Throw in the other part, the stacked on part in the back, and you're ready to go. And you can epoxy the bezel on in the front side, and there's your voice box. Again, this is just for Jupitere Electronics voice box. If you get somebody else's, it's probably going to be a different way of installing it. So don't take this for every voice box for the Knight Rider dash. A lot of vendors make them differently. So just want to throw that out there. One more thing, guys, is make sure after you drill, again, to make sure you did not hit any of these poles. You can see I'm away from them, but if you run into them, you're gonna have to re-drill somewhere else, because you will short out your voice box. You can see all of them are away from the boards, and I'm using these little tiny screws with the little tiny nuts, so they will not hit even this one, which is real close. You can see it's not going to hit that pole running there. Alright, for these last two light boards, the little small ones, you can actually drill and countersink a couple small screws in these ones. You'd be safe to do it on these. Only thing is, on this one, you got the ground and positive going through here. I wouldn't want to run over those. So what you want to do is cut out a notch in that wood over those little connectors right here. Just cut out a notch so this wood doesn't sit on top of that 12-volt leg there. It might not do anything, but it's just be on the safe side. Just notch it out so it doesn't sit on that. But yeah, these ones should be a little bit easier because these are easy to get to screw them in. The other ones, for instance, this board, what a headache. Like that one, you can't even screw through that. It's actually, the hole's right on top of the pipe, the lead pipe, which is stupid, so you can't even use that mount. Same with this one. Can't use that one because it's right in the way. That one doesn't even have one in the corner. This one doesn't have one in the corner. So this board really needs some TLC from the vendor. He needs to make this one better because there's nowhere to mount on these corners. So what I did is I took a little L bracket, bent it a certain way, as you can see there, and then I mounted it there. Hopefully that keeps it connected, because there's nowhere I can really connect this spot right here in this corner. Again, I didn't have to epoxy these on, I just used screws. I made sure I cut out a notch so it doesn't hit those little legs, because it's positive ground. There's a couple legs that stick out. Did the same thing on this side, cut out a little notch because there's like a transistor or resistor or whatever that is right there. I don't want it to hit it, and the legs, positive ground, don't want to hit it either, so I cut out a little notch there. Then I screwed them in, and now here's the covers. Now it's ready to mount to the dash. Still have to cut out the dash though. I'll have to do that tomorrow. I'll cut the dash out and I'll add some more little L brackets. I have to do 2 on top and 2 at the bottom for each one. Total of 8 little L brackets. I need to get more of them. I think I ran out. I'm going to be using these ones, the smaller ones. And yeah, so we'll continue this in part 3 for tomorrow. That's it for tonight.